In Radishny, the Russians use a missile from Democratic People's Republic of Korea for the first time in a long while. These are the preliminary data. Of course, there will be expert examinations. Everything will be verified. But as of now, it is a North Korea ballistic missile, an alliance of Moscow scum with the insane regime of DPRK. In Radishny, the Russians use a missile from Democratic People's Republic of Korea for the first time in a long while. These are the preliminary data. Of course, there will be expert examinations. Everything will be verified. But as of now, it is a North Korea ballistic missile, an alliance of Moscow scum with the insane regime of DPRK for the sake of missiles, for the sake of the DPRK contingent here in Europe, on our borders, for the sake of killing our Ukrainian children. Of course, today, many in the world condemned this strike. There were many expressions of sympathy over the loss of life. European countries said many things also because of the Russian missile that flew into Polish territory and exploded somewhere in a field near Lublin. Still, the most important thing is not simply sympathy, and not simply condemnation, but missile for air defense. Exactly this kind of pressure on Russia can stop this stupid Russian war. All of their strikes, their terror. This war could have been ended long ago, but Putin does not want that. He is either looking for some weapons in DPRK, or somewhere in Iran, or coming up with something else. Anything to keep fighting, to keep killing, evil that can only be stopped by sufficient force.
Allies Russia and North Korea are bolstering ties as global tensions continue to rise, using infrastructure and defense cooperation to deepen their wartime partnership. Moscow and Pyongyang have almost completed construction of a strategic road bridge over the Tumangan River, creating their first modern road crossing between the two states. The bridge will potentially be used as a logistics corridor for military supplies, with investigations warning it could discreetly move munitions, equipment, and personnel to support Russia's war against Ukraine. Details of this military boost were reported by outlets including Militani on July 29, which highlighted the dual economic and strategic role of the new crossing. The bridge spans the Tuman River between Kherson in Russia's far east and the North Korean side near Ryazan, in a remote border area that touches the Sea of Japan. It runs alongside the existing Friendship Bridge, currently the only rail link between the two nations and already used to move cargo and, reportedly, arms shipments. The new corridor will enable smoother movement of North Korean troops and construction brigades into Russia, as well as transport of Russian technology, fuel, and other resources back into North Korea, according to reports. North Korea has completed its part of the project ahead of the planned June 19 opening, finishing customs facilities, access roads, and its section of the span. However, Russia is behind schedule on its side of the border, with satellite imagery and local reporting indicating slower progress on its customs complex and roadway approaches. Lead researcher at the Truth Hound said, and I quote, "The type of railcar visible in the image reveals a lot about the cargo, and certain categories of goods are transported in open railcars, which makes it possible to identify them. In contrast, trucks in satellite images almost always look the same," unquote. Russia's transport minister has said the new bridge will increase mutual trade and optimize logistics, presenting it publicly as a civilian route to ease sanctions-hit freight flows between Russia and North Korea. The investigative group Truth Hounds claimed that this official explanation for the construction is unfounded, arguing the crossing is far more likely to serve as a covert military logistics corridor for Russia's war in Ukraine. According to estimates, the bridge's construction has cost over $100 million, a figure repeatedly cited in Western and Ukrainian reporting on the project. Notably, the project began after Putin and Kim Jong-un signed a treaty in 2024, formalizing deeper mutual defense and cooperation and laying the political groundwork for new infrastructure like this road link. Experts now say that North Korea's missile lifeline to Russia appears to have been fully revived after a period of apparent slowdown. North Korea has reportedly resumed actively shipping its KN-23 ballistic missiles directly to Russia in recent weeks. The open-source intelligence outlet Polkovnik GSH reported these shipments, citing sources with direct ties to Ukrainian intelligence circles. The report explained that Russia urgently needs these missiles because its own domestic production simply cannot keep pace with wartime demand. The KN-23 is a road-mobile, solid-fuel short-range ballistic missile, giving it the flexibility to launch quickly from a wide range of locations. Within North Korea itself, this same missile is officially known by its domestic designation, the Hwasong-11A. The missile flies along a low, depressed trajectory, rather than a typical high-arcing ballistic path. This unusual flight path is specifically designed to complicate enemy interception efforts by keeping the missile lower and harder to track. In both design and performance, the KN-23 closely resembles Russia's own Iskander-M ballistic missile system. North Korea first tested this missile back in 2019, well before it ever saw actual combat use in Ukraine. Russia first fired a North Korean-supplied KN-23 missile into Ukraine on December 30, 2023, marking its combat debut in this war. Reports at the time indicated that these early KN-23 missiles often missed their intended targets entirely or simply broke apart before impact. Ukrainian officials specifically noted that some of these early missiles missed their targets by more than a full kilometer. Russian specialists later went on to modify the missile's design after months of real combat use and feedback gathered directly from Ukraine. Analysts now broadly agree that the KN-23 has become far more accurate and reliable compared to its rocky first deployment years earlier. Ukrainian intelligence reported that Russia received more than 100 North Korean missiles throughout the entirety of 2024 alone. According to Ukraine, Pyongyang was expected to deliver an additional 148 KN-23 missiles to Russia throughout 2025. Notably, North Korea has also deployed more than 10,000 of its own troops to directly support Russian forces on the ground. Russia has reportedly gone as far as adapting certain North Korean missile designs into improvements for its own Iskander missile program.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.